Hi, Art Seekers. We're here with Ash Chan in possibly the greatest street art space I have ever seen. I've been a huge fan of yours. You're such a tastemaker and a phenomenal curator, and I'm really excited to get to pick your brain.
Right on. Sounds good.
So coming from the restaurant world, how on earth did you land in where you are now?
I mean, a lot of it is obviously sort of circumstantial. Our family was investing in property in downtown LA, and this is one of the properties that we ended up putting our hat in the ring and ended up getting it. And the Arts District had just passed like a ruling which allowed the building owners to paint the exteriors of the properties as long as it wasn't advertising anything. And so we had this one artist that came in one day and asked if he could paint one of the first walls. And so that was Schemes, that was Frank. And that was the first wall, and sort of since then, like all the cars that passed by, kind of word got out, people started seeing him painting at midday, and then it kind of snowballed from there.
How did you initially become interested in street art?
My dad actually bought me my first piece. Like we don't see each other that often, and we were in Little Tokyo, and he wandered in Hold Up, and he bought me my first coffee print, and so that was kind of, since then it was like Shepard Fairey prints, and then kind of some originals, and slowly, kind of got into like collecting stuff here and there. But
coffee was your gateway drug.
Coffee, yeah, definitely, and I still definitely have a soft spot for his work.
Something that I love about street art versus art in the mainstream is the fact that it's temporary, and you energetically align yourself with that because the works are constantly rotating. What made you decide to do that?
There's a lot of good art out there, there's like a lot of talented artists, and paint fades. It's beautiful to keep changing because these artists are sort of also a representation of history, of a time, like they're expressive of themselves, or they're being expressive of a political view. All that stuff has to sort of stay up to date in order to inspire people in the right way, I think, at least in this space. I definitely never want to disrespect like the history and the efforts that have gone into sort of creating everything that's made this place. And we've documented almost everything from day one, and so it's kind of like we don't want to leave anybody out. How do we create the best sort of history book of what's happened so far? The other day we're looking back through the videos of the Art in the Street show from MoCA. I went like 4 times, and it was like the most amazing thing like ever. And obviously that's a big inspiration for anybody building these things inside. Like that's kind of a little bit of that installation inspiration. Maybe that's one of the directions that this space goes. Is it's a place where experiences can be created by different brands that generate income that sort of creates a sustainable cycle with the artist, and allows a place to sort of represent creativity as a whole. Yeah.
It's interesting that you mentioned the Art on the Street show because I also went about 4 times.
Okay, awesome.
I loved it. It kind of rocked my world. But looking back, I think that you've taken what they were doing, what Jeffrey Deitch did, a step further, because if art is in a museum, it's controlled, it's going to be the same every time you go. And my experience with the Container Yard is the opposite. It's always dynamic, but it's always different.
Sure.
And I think that you have created this little ecosystem, and your ecosystem evolves and it grows organically.
Sure.
In a way that just isn't possible in a museum.
It basically just represents the way the market is starting to consume everything, like it's consuming things in a dynamic way. It expects things to change, adapt, evolve, and I think that's what this space has shown itself to do, is just become sort of this evolutionary animal.
How do you select artists now?
It's still kind of like a lot of word of mouth. We're just really fortunate to have a certain level of respect that's been, I guess, garnered towards us. And we try to work. It doesn't always work out, sometimes we're looking for something very specific, and like we don't always have something. So it's always really nice to work with people that are flexible, because like it's, there's always stuff in flux, and we never know what's open or what's been sitting for a long time that like is maybe due for a refresh or something. Everybody that is painted here, like we feel like is they're all friends now, you know, like, and so I feel like that's kind of like the way that we kind of keep things going, is it kind of just keep building the family, you know, so.
And out of all of the family members who have painted here, is there one work that really resonates with you as the most significant?
There is still this one piece that Drew did of a large woman on that wall right there.
Yeah.
And it was like the time and the place, you know, like the space was like white and raw, and like, you know, the ceiling was still, it was just awesome, you know, like stuff was ripped out, and it was just like super awesome, you know, like, and I think that was one of those moments in time, you know, like it was not just about the art, but it was really about the moment and everything around it, and the environment and the time, and, you know, it was, yeah. So I would say, like, you know, I mean, I love so much of the art that's, you know, been here, but I'd say that was one of those moments where it was just it was kind of just like photographic. It was just beautiful.
Do you have an experience that you hope people who visit the Container Yard will have?
This space really is that combination of raw and refined. I mean, that's what we're here for, you know, is to try to make that new platform, or create some kind of new sustainable platform where, you know, all this new sort of creative market can sort of exist.